know the issues. We know about energy. We know about the border. We know Joe Biden doesn't know what he's doing. We know all that. We get all that. But why do this? Why do this here tonight with Legacy PAC? Because there's a whole lot of people who have the passion to save this country who need help getting off the ground.
The purpose of Legacy PAC is to save America. That's our mission. That's what we really want to do because America's worth saving.
I am by trade, I'm a cybersecurity engineer. Okay, so this is my first run in politics. We need more conservative Republicans standing up and fighting for the Constitution.
We're an America First PAC, and we want to promote and help our up-and-coming candidates, and we're going to be holding the line for President Trump.
I joined the Army at 17 years old. My first day at my first unit, which was 25th Infantry, was September 10th, 2001. So the next day was 9/11. And I spent about a total of a decade between Iraq and Afghanistan in country. So my country means everything to me. When I realized that if people like myself who don't want to be politicians don't start stepping up and taking these seats, that nothing's going to change, then I said, okay, I'll do it.
Who deserves to lead the people of this country more than those who serve this country? So I'm behind every one of them. So let's make sure we get more veterans into power. I'm all for it.
Remember why you're involved. We have to make sure people remain humble and not engage in self-glorification. You are here for one reason, and that is to save the country. Period. End of story.
And for those candidates who are looking uphill and wondering how, keep your head down, focus on the target, and outwork everybody. And I promise you, you're not gonna lose. You're either gonna win on election night or you change the game on election night. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much, Legacy PAC.
Thank you, Legacy PAC.
Under this administration, they have deliberately opened the border to fundamentally change the fabric of our country.
I'm Jared Craig with Legacy PAC. We are here at Eagle Pass, Texas, to bring attention to the border crisis, to educate the voters, the citizens of the United States, and the candidates running for federal office, the importance of a secure border.
And at Legacy PAC, we want to bring candidates here to the border to see it firsthand, because there is nothing like being here, seeing this. We saw women and children climbing over barbed wire. There is no reason why we cannot secure this border. There is no reason to keep this open. This is not humane. So we need to get Victor and all these other good America First candidates into office.
We at Legacy PAC depend on your donation and support to support these projects. We can't do it without you. So please go on to legacypac.org and show your support.
And Stan, where's Stan? Stan is with Veterans for Trump.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you all. We're honored. I know there are so many organizations represented here today.
You're sitting here too much. But you're going to do very well. And I just had somebody write down, first of all, James and Sarah Pritchard, thank you very much. Yes, great job. Thank you. We appreciate all the help. Stanley and Donna Fitzgerald.
Right here, sir.
Thank you very much. It's great. It's great that you're with us. Mike Acton.
Hi, this is Stan Fitzgerald, Veterans for Trump, and I'm here with Christine Villaverde, who is running for Secretary of State in North Carolina. Good morning, Christine. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well, Stan. How are you this morning?
Cold for Georgia. You know, you're probably used to it in North Carolina, but we're not used to this weather. Christine, could you tell us a little bit about your background, please?
Absolutely. Well, I was raised in a proud military family. My father was active duty Air Force, retired after 20 years, was a Vietnam veteran. So obviously, you know, we moved around quite a lot with my father's military background. We ended up in North Carolina when he was stationed at Pope Air Force Base. After he retired, he did do a couple of other areas of service as civil service, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, Cherry Point, Camp Lejeune. And then when I was in Sanford, that's where I met my husband, who was stationed at Fort Bragg, with the 82nd Airborne. My oldest son was actually born on Fort Bragg at Womack Army Hospital. And I cannot say Fort Liberty. I'm sorry. I just can't. It's always going to be Fort Bragg to me. It's just something that, we have such an honored tradition of having it be Fort Bragg. I was actually married at the 82nd Airborne Chapel on Fort Bragg. And, that's what my marriage certificate says. My son's birth certificate says Fort Bragg. So, it's kind of difficult changing that. But obviously with his military service, we moved around quite a lot to Colorado. He did a year in Korea. We actually did 7 years overseas in Germany at 2 different bases at Baumholder Kaserne and also Heidelberg. At that time, he was deployed, numerous times to combat zones, Kosovo, Kuwait, Iraq, and obviously as a military spouse in a country you're not familiar with, a lot of us spouses banded together, helped one another. I remember, during the September 11th, I was in Baumholder, sitting there watching TV with my young son. He was not even quite 1 yet. And the wives got together and, we all supported one another. And that's what, the military service is about. It's not about, what you look like, your background. It's just being part of, a cohesive unit, the esprit de corps, that, you support each other no matter what, because you're all in this together as Americans. So, obviously, the military means a lot to me. Eventually we moved back to Arizona. My husband was the first sergeant at the military entrance processing station in Phoenix. Well, I had always wanted to be either an MP or an SP. It was hard, being dual military. So I actually took it upon myself, applied to a local police department, Avondale Police Department. I was hired after a lengthy process. At that time, we were very supportive of our law enforcement. It was, an honored career choice, full of, men and women that, just wanted to serve their communities with honor and integrity. I went through an 18-week academy at the Arizona Law Enforcement Academy, kind of a paramilitary academy, doing PT every morning, defensive tactics, defensive driving, which was awesome. Firearms training, obviously, and I was finally certified as a police officer, worked 5 years as a police officer, doing any number of things, on top of patrol. And then eventually, after the military service in Arizona was over, we ended up coming back to North Carolina, because this is where all my family's at. My father, aunts, cousins, sisters. I always knew that North Carolina was home. And it's such a wonderful state that's very supportive of veterans and their families. So that's kind of in a nutshell. I've had a very, very different background. I actually graduated from college at Fayetteville State University, which is a historically Black college and university, with my degree in criminal justice when we were at Fort Bragg. And then eventually, after having my twin boys, they're 7 years old now, who I homeschool, I ended up getting my master's degree in public policy from Liberty University. It's an amazing university that's very supportive of professionals that want to create policies based with a Christian worldview. The policies are all based on, what's ethically and morally right for your community and your state and the nation. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Well, you've had an amazing life, and thank you for your service. We do. I'm a retired police detective. I'm not a veteran. So we do both, and it was my turn. They asked me to be president, even though I'm not a veteran. So we appreciate law enforcement equal as military. So we all serve our country and protect the citizens in one way or another in both fields. And a military wife, travel, you make sacrifices too, just doing that. So we appreciate everything you did.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for your service as well.
Thank you, Christine. And as Secretary of State, what are some of the policies you want to focus on in North Carolina?
Day one, I know the biggest issue that's on everybody's mind is election integrity. Whether or not you know this, North Carolina is one of those strange states that the Secretary of State does not currently have purview over election integrity. Governor Cooper, who's a Democrat, has the North Carolina State Board of Elections that's supposed to monitor elections. And of course, it's very partisan. There's nothing that they're actually doing about ensuring election integrity. On day one, I want to petition the state legislature, which we have a supermajority, a Republican supermajority, to change the purview of my role, which there is framework already in the state constitution that it's an odd thing where elections falls under the heading of the Secretary of State, but they just need to change the wording that I will actually be able to ensure election integrity, because my office not only they have investigatory, but also prosecutorial powers for frauds and counterfeiting. Well, that heading could be enlarged so that I could have purview over election integrity as well. So not only will not only will I be able to investigate, but I will be able to hold people accountable that steal the election. Day one, that's what I want to do, because if we cannot guarantee that our elections are secure, then we cannot guarantee that we have a representative democracy and that we are actually getting the representatives that we choose.
Well, amen to that. And we have our own problems here in Georgia. Let's talk a little bit about President Trump. The whole country is looking at the president for basically challenging election results. He's being persecuted. Friends of mine in Georgia are being persecuted, Banana Republic stuff. What are your thoughts on what's going on in our country at this time with the weaponization of the DOJ and state prosecutors?
The weaponization of DOJ, and don't get me wrong, I totally support the rank and file officers that are trying to do the best that they can on a daily basis. Most of our FBI agents and our law enforcement are doing the right thing. It's the administrators that are corrupting the system. And we have this problem, obviously, with these unelected bureaucrats that know that they just have to outweigh the current president or whoever is in office, because they're there for 20 and 30 years. And they have this machine in the background that has become corrupt and that has used this system for their own partisan politics. And in the United States of America, if we can't question results, then we have a problem. You and I both know, as law enforcement, pick out a person and you can find a crime. And that is exactly what they've done. They said that Trump, we are going to get him from day one. They said it publicly out loud that they will find him accountable for something that he said. But that's what we have, the First Amendment for, freedom of speech. We're allowed to voice our opinions. In this case, he believes that, the election, there was inconsistencies. Obviously, there were so many issues with the election. And if you can't even question that, that's the very foundation and fundamentals of what makes this country great, that we can question authority, that we can hold people accountable. We're supposed to have transparency. There's supposed to be the checks and balances. So it's absolutely wrong what they're doing to President Trump. Love him or hate him, you have to support his policies, his America First agenda, putting the American people before all else. I fully support Trump and what he's trying to do to clean it up and make sure that the system is fair and works for all America.
Well, we certainly appreciate your endorsement of President Trump, and I can't think of a better idea than having a law enforcement officer be Secretary of State, because we'll get some of these voting schemes stopped. But Christine, how can the public find your website?
They can go to votevillaverde.com to learn more about me. They can, learn more about my background, my education, my policies, learn more about my family. I'm very, very proud wife and mother of 3 boys, like I said, including twin 7-year-olds that I'm homeschooling. I feel like I have to homeschool my children right now, just that I can make sure that, they are taught what they need to be taught. They get a quality education free from some of this radicalization. And they can, just learn more about me, that, I'm in this for the right reason. We're a new breed of politician. I never thought I would say that, but we're real people, cops and firefighters and nurses that are tired of being tired. We're tired of being the silent majority, and we're stepping up to fight the good fight. And I hope you know that as a former emergency manager and law enforcement officer, I'll bring that warrior-like spirit just to fight for families and businesses and veterans in North Carolina.
Well, we appreciate you, Christine, and we'll kick this interview up to the board and look forward to talking to you again, man.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward to it as well, and hopefully I'll be able to meet you in person pretty soon.
I'll probably be in North Carolina, so we'll look forward to it. Thank you again.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.